Part 86. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 853. Therefore, the first targets of attack are these horses, directly injuring their legs so that these horses can't move. As for the others, they are actually not very important. According to the plan given before, just kill the opponent's leader. Moreover, the bigger the noise made here, the better. In this way, the brothers on the periphery can rush in directly, which will make it easier to attract attention. There was a fight going on inside the tent, and everyone was also fighting fiercely outside the tent. The few people who came in had all started fighting, and everyone invariably made the loudest noise. Not long after, I could already hear a large number of people coming from the outside, rushing directly into the military camp, and killing each other with the Jin people. Wu Liang and the opposing general heard the noise outside at the same time. Wu Liang proudly said to the other side, "Do you still think you can win now? So what? As long as it makes you feel good." The opponent seemed to be a solid block of iron. Wu Liang tried his best, but he could only draw a tie with the opponent. If you want to kill the opponent, it is not as easy as imagined. In this way, the situation inside the tent seemed very embarrassing. The situation outside may not be able to continue. If the situation inside is not resolved as soon as possible, it is likely to give the other party a chance to counterattack. When he thought of this, Wu Liang immediately became very aggressive and took advantage of the situation. When the other party was stunned, he rushed over. The two people struggled together, and this time Wu Liang learned the lesson wisely. In comparison, the other party used a sword. If the distance allowed, the other party must have taken advantage of it. Advantage, so Wu Liang, go and bring the distance between the two parties closer, preferably as close as possible. In this way, the dagger will have a great advantage. Click. One hand stabbed directly into the opponent's abdomen. When there was no reaction, the dagger rotated inside, and a lot of blood flowed out immediately after being stolen. The next time seemed very simple. You need to kill the opponent directly, as long as it is not worth delaying. When the other party cannot bandage the wound to stop the bleeding in time, as long as you do this step, you can let the other party continue to bleed to death. In the next time, you only need to interfere with the other party. And because the wound spit out before is still it was quite big, so the other party bleeds very quickly. Not long after, under Wu Liang's constant interference, this person was unable to stand normally due to excessive blood loss, and at this moment, his face was pale and bloodless. See, after the other party looked like this, Wu Liang no longer panicked, and slowly walked up to the other party and said, "The situation is obvious now, you have no chance." After saying that, Wu Liang snatched the sword from the opponent's hand, and finally stimulated the opponent's chest with another one, and walked out of the tent. At this moment, the outside of the tent was already filled with blood, and the Han and Jin people were all fighting together. Seeing this scene, Wu Liang shouted and immediately stopped everyone present. However, these Jin men were still quite brave and good at fighting. Even though they knew that their generals had been defeated, these people still did not stop resisting. Wu Liang snorted coldly and immediately joined the battle. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 854. Since the Jin people were defeated, no matter how they resisted, they ultimately ended in failure. After an hour of fighting, many people at the scene had been defeated. Wu Liang and Cheng Lian reunited. After gathering the team, they immediately searched the scene. He brought some useful things back with the troops. When they returned to the previous camp, Lu Feng said to them happily, "You have done a good job. After this incident, you can now stand alone, got it? There is still a general's cultivation, otherwise the two of us might still be fighting now. Yes, if it hadn't been for the general's good intentions, we wouldn't be where we are today. Okay, don't flatter me in front of me, quickly organize all the supplies, we are ready to take the next step. After saying that, everyone took action immediately. Just when everyone was packing up and preparing to set off and move on, suddenly Guan Yu came back on horseback. Unfortunately, we encountered the Jin's elite cavalry unit. There's already a fight over there, asking for support. Suddenly receiving such bad news caught Lu Feng a little unprepared, because this directly disrupted all the plans he had made before, and everything was likely to have to be done again. But it was too late to think so much now, since the cavalry had already if a fight breaks out, they will definitely go over to help. These Mongolian cavalry will play a more important role in the future, so they absolutely cannot be wiped out just there. Not to mention more, at least half of them must be left behind. That's it. He rushed over with the troops, Guan Yu led the way, everything seemed so smooth. Soon, everyone finally arrived at the place where the battle took place. And looking from a distance, you could see a lot of people there. The fight was about to start, and it was accompanied by bursts of sounds, which made people feel a little scared. Coupled with the sky that was gradually dusk at this moment, it made people feel even more depressed. After Lu Feng saw this situation, he immediately ordered everyone to go help. Although the opponent is still cavalry, it does not mean that the infantry has no possibility of winning. And we also have cavalry, not to mention people like Guan Yu who are good at fighting on horses, so there is no need worried. Everyone struggled together, and the scene seemed chaotic for a while. At this moment, Huang Zhong, who was on the battlefield, suddenly jumped up from his horse, grabbed a few arrows and shot directly at the opponent. He also heard with two whooshes, several of the opponent's cavalry were killed. And this time, an arrow killed two birds with one stone, directly penetrating the opponent's chest and hitting another cavalry behind him. Huang Zhong fell from the air, but at this time, his horse was gone. In order to avoid the opponent's attack, he could only temporarily distance himself and hid behind our soldiers. Then he raised his bow and arrow again and shot towards the opponent's cavalry. Huang Zhong with this most powerful backup, our soldiers don't a Euro trademark T need to be afraid at all. Huang Zhong also knew what his responsibilities were. He looked at Lu Feng and focused on things on the battlefield, especially for our soldiers. I also remember the location clearly to prevent support from being too late. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 855. Many people on the other side wanted to launch a surprise attack, or use a sneak attack to win, but they did not expect that Huang Zhong was like a god overlooking the battlefield and could easily deal with them. Everyone was shot dead a second before the sneak attack. Those people fell down with eyes full of incomprehension. It was precisely because Huang Zhong's arrows were in vain that he gave his comrades more opportunities to fight back. These Jin men were obviously no longer their opponents. They were retreating steadily and had no means of resistance. Even the strongest among them was no match for Huang Zhong and Guan Yu. It didn't take long for these people to be surrounded until only the last dozen or so people were left in the small encirclement. They were very scared and looked at the others. Surrender immediately now and tell us everything you know, and we can leave a whole body for you. If you don't tell us, we will leave you with your head in a different place. Lu Feng stood in front and told them what a terrible outcome would be if they did not surrender. These Jin soldiers have a very strange custom that if they are beheaded on the battlefield, they will have no way to return to their own country. In their hometown, there is no way to reincarnate as a human being, so what they fear most is to be beheaded. We don't a Euro trademark T know anything, so just kill if you want. The last few Jin soldiers didn't have anything to say, because they really didn't know anything. They were just ordinary soldiers at the lowest level. How could they know important information? Lu Feng saw that they were useless and waved his hand. Guan Yu and the others killed the last Jin soldiers, and then he planned to go directly to the capital of Jin soldiers. During the Song dynasty, the main map of the Jin country was in the northeast, starting from the three eastern provinces and extending to Zhejiang. Since then it has been everyone is laughing, and the southern part of the country was attacked. During the southern Song dynasty, a lot of land was lost, so in terms of the entire map, the southern Song dynasty had the least land. It is like a small circle, with only Fujian, Guangzhou, etc. There are less than 9 provinces, and among all the dynasties, this is already the most bizarre unified dynasty. Although it is very rich, the country is weak and has no diplomatic ability. Your Majesty, now that the Jin kingdom is doomed to retreat, if we want to continue to fight, should we first equip the soldiers with cold protection and prepare more cotton-padded clothes and other items? Guan Yu looked in the direction of the north. He knew which direction he had to go next. The goal was to destroy the kingdom of Jin. However, the weather in the north was cold. If he went north in the season, it was still a question whether the soldiers could hold on. The weather in the north is indeed very cold, and the soldiers may not be able to bear it. Before setting off, let all the soldiers wear cotton-padded clothes and bring quilts to try to keep everyone warm. Lu Feng also considered this, so he agreed with Guan Yu's proposal and told Guan Yu that he would be responsible for this matter and that everyone's belongings must be prepared. If he goes to the kingdom of Jin on the way, some people froze to death because of the weather. This is an unnecessary loss. General, Wu Liang, Chen Lian wants to see you. Outside the camp, Wu Liang and Chen Lian were kneeling outside, waiting for Lu Feng to see them. They seemed to have something to say to Lu Feng. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 856. Lu Feng nodded and asked Guan Yu to bring the 2 of them in. After they came in, he began to talk about their purpose of coming here. General Rongzhen, I am here to ask the general to let the logistics troops reorganize the army so that they can keep up and ensure that the soldiers will not be cold and hungry. What Wu Liang said is what the general wanted to say. Now that the first battle of the Jin kingdom has failed, the news will be spread back soon. We have Mongolian soldiers to help us. I think it won a Euro trademark T take long to fight them. Mom, but the weather there is really bad, and the general is worried that the soldiers will not be able to bear it. Wu Liang and Chen Lian came here for the same purpose as Guan Yu, they just wanted to ensure that their soldiers would not die due to unnecessary conditions. You don't a Euro trademark T have to worry about this. I have already ordered the logistics troops to keep up with the corresponding supplies. The replenishment will be completed soon. I will not launch a campaign until the replenishment is completed. However, don't a Euro trademark T trust too much in the cavalry from Mongolia. They are our enemies after all. The soldiers who helped the Song dynasty launch large-scale attacks on the battlefield were also the cavalry borrowed from King Jinlun. However, these people had always lived separately from the Song dynasty soldiers and never disturbed each other. Nowadays, when fighting, we can temporarily help each other just because of this need. Lu Feng does not want his people to choose to trust these cavalry because of this help. Don't worry, General. We know what's right and we won't believe those Mongolian soldiers. Isn't it written in the book? A war never tires of deceit. I understand this truth and will definitely make it clear to my brothers. Chen Lian has read the military book. Although he doesn't know what Lu Feng is planning, he also knows that these people are only temporarily borrowed to help. Maybe one day Lu Feng will order them to face each other with swords. He will never do it. Investing in boring emotions. Wu Liang is not stupid and nods along. He promises that he will never let go at the critical moment. Then you all know these things, so there is no need to stay here. The logistics supplies will be delivered in 3 days. You will take them with you and set up warnings along the road to prevent surprise attacks. Do you understand? Lu Feng gave the two of them new orders so that they would not have nothing to do during these hours. The new supply team will arrive soon, but someone might ambush, so Lu Feng planned to let these two. The two men led the troops out and brought the supplies back in person. Yes, I will obey your orders. Wu Liang and Cheng Lian answered in the affirmative, and quickly went down to lead the troops to set up security along the road. In the past few days, the news quickly spread back to the kingdom of Jin. The royal family of the kingdom of Jin all had the surname Wanyan, and they were. This person expressed that he was very angry. He never thought that he would lose so quickly and so simply. The entire army was wiped out and no one came back from the battlefield alive. This resulted in them not getting enough intelligence on the battlefield. They don't know what happened on the front line. All they can know is that Lu Feng led the troops. Wanyan Fei, you are the person in charge of army supplies, how come you don't even know the news from the front line? Who is this Lu Feng? You must find out for me, otherwise, I will kill you. Three Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 857. In the Wanyan royal family, every member of the royal family will be responsible. The most important part is that their family is very distrustful of people with other surnames. On the battlefield, everyone who holds important positions is a member of the Wanyan family. Now, they are very angry about the name they have never heard of, because Lu Feng killed their people and left no one behind. I just heard that a new general appeared in Yingtian Mansion. Why was the emperor personally named General Ping Chuan? But I don't trademark know anything else. This person seems to have jumped out of thin air, and I have no way of knowing that much. Wanyan Fei, I felt very wronged because he really didn't know the relevant information. Lu Feng appeared out of thin air to everyone, and it was impossible for anyone from any country to find out his details. You go to the battlefield at least 3 times a month, don't trademark you know who knows. Wanyan Mo glanced at him, with a sinister look on his face. It was obvious that Wanyan Fei had nothing to do with him. The others were just watching the show, and no one was arranging flowers. Their sweats just looked at them and smiled without saying a word. It seemed that they would not stop the quarrels of the people under them, but would watch them happily as if they were watching a play. However, he will still stop him with words at critical moments. Since no one came back alive this time, it proves that they are not strong enough, and the opponent's manpower is very sufficient. This time, I intend to let the princes personally lead the troops. When they stopped arguing, Dahan didn't speak. Wanyan Fei and Wanyan Mo immediately bowed their heads and stopped arguing about who Lu Feng was. Great Khan, you have few heirs. If you send a prince on the battlefield, the issue of the heir to the empire will be a euro. Wanyan Fei is a side branch and is not qualified to inherit, but he can stand in line. The eldest prince he supports is the most suitable successor. Of course he does not want the prince to go to the battlefield. What will happen in the future if he dies on the battlefield? My sons should go to the battlefield and let everyone see how brave they are. Otherwise, how will they inherit my position and lead others in the future? The great Khan seemed to have made up his mind. No matter what Wanyan Fei said, they were not going to change their minds. The others had no choice but to comply. However, they all expressed their willingness to contribute, and the great Khan left with a cold snort. This time he also planned to see how many courtiers his 3 sons had won over. This time, going to the battlefield was a matter of life and death, so he measured them all at once. On the other end, Lu Feng and his people received the latest supplies. It was interesting. What's more, he was originally worried that Song Litsong's fellow would deliberately deduct money, but he didn't expect it to be quite good. Although the food was a little short, the cotton-padded clothes were very sufficient. The soldiers were very happy to see the cotton-padded clothes, which meant that even the next big battle in the Winter War, They don't have to worry about being dragged to death by the weather as a result of the tug of war fought by the people of the Jin Kingdom. It's just that the amount of food is reduced by half, which makes people have a bit of a headache. Your Majesty, the food provided is too little. When delivering the memorial to Yingtian Mansion, the amount of food was already stated, but Song Litsong did not provide enough. This is too stumbling upon you. Huang Zhong frowned. He whispered in Lu Feng's ear, very dissatisfied with Song Litsong. He had already agreed that the supplies must be sufficient. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 858. But now Song Litsong apparently agreed to everything, but in fact he did things so disgustingly, which made both Huang Zhong and Guan Yu very dissatisfied. They actually dared to disobey His Majesty's orders, and the general was willing to personally lead the dragon warriors back to kill them, so that Song Litsong would know what it means to be strong. Guan Yu looked down upon Song Litsong's small tricks very much. As a man who was always upright when fighting, he naturally looked down on people who used small tricks. Especially when this man was still the emperor. Litsong's structure in the Song dynasty is just that, otherwise he would not be criticized by future generations. Don't worry about it. Those Jin soldiers came to the battlefield with military rations. Just kill them and rob the military rations to support them with war. Just fight. Lu Feng will definitely go back to Song Litsong to settle accounts for this matter, but unifying the world is the most important thing now, and the priority is of course the war. Fortunately, the problem of military rations cannot be solved by others, but it is simple for Lu Feng. Just use war to support war. Your Majesty is wise. Huang Zhong and Guan Yu bowed their heads and obeyed. Lu Feng ordered people to quickly distribute cotton-padded clothes and other important items to the soldiers to ensure that everyone does not have to worry about cotton-padded clothes in winter. In this way, they can keep warm. In the supplies, etc. After the distribution of important things, he immediately ordered the entire army to attack, and soon saw the obstruction of the Jin soldiers. They received very little intelligence and could only do a reluctant defense. The Jin soldiers' defense line had not been adjusted yet, and it was too late. Faced with Lu Feng personally leading the troops, they soon came under fierce attack. In less than 7 days, Lu Feng's army marched down 20 cities. The news spread to the camp of the great Khan of the Jin Kingdom, bringing thunder and fury. They immediately reorganized their army, appointed 3 princes as commanders, and immediately rushed to the front line with an army of 400,000 people. The information was quickly captured by Lu Feng's spies. General, this time the Jin Kingdom dispatched a total of 400,000 troops. This number is several times that of our army. It is very difficult for our army to win. Wu Liang, Cheng Lian, and others were discussing with Lu Feng in the camp how to deal with the 400,000 Jin soldiers. The Song soldiers don't have so many people to fight against now. We can fight guerrillas. When the enemy is tired, we fight. When the enemy is attacked, we flee. Lu Feng's method of dealing with the golden soldiers this time is also very simple. He only needs to fight guerrilla warfare and consume it. The most important thing is to make the opponent return without success every time. If the opponent does not get a good rest, it will can't fight with all my strength. The general has heard that the great Khan of the Jin Kingdom plans to use the war to train his heir this time. All 3 princes are on the battlefield. How about we form a beheading team and target those princes? If we catch them, we can win. Cheng Lian came up with another idea, to capture the thief first. If all 3 princes can be captured, it will be a huge blow to the entire Jin Kingdom. If the great Khan of the Jin Kingdom does not want to be extinct, he will definitely. We can't leave our son alone in Lu Feng's hands. This is a good idea. Wu Liang also nodded along. However, have you ever thought about it, since the three of them are the only three princes in the kingdom of Jin, would their father really let them face so many dangers on the battlefield? There must be defensive measures. Lu Feng smiled and shook his head. He had no intention of letting Long Wuzu take action. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 859. Chen Lian wanted to directly win the final victory in this battle through a sneak attack, but he forgot one very important thing, that is, the target he wanted to sneak attack was in a high position, and there must be many people around him fighting to protect it. After these people were protected, there was no way for them to make a sneak attack to break through their protection level. If the Long Martial soldier took action, it would definitely succeed, but Lu Feng didn't want Chen Lian to rely on the Long Martial soldier. If everything relied on Lu Feng's personal power, then he could lead tens of thousands of troops from the beginning and flatten the whole world. Then there would be no trouble, and the completion of the matter would not cost as much as it does now. Time. He hopes to rely on these people in the original world to solve problems by himself. Otherwise, once he leaves this world, the world will collapse because of his departure. In the long run, this is a very bad thing. Lu Feng is a very far-sighted person. He hopes that such things can be avoided forever. According to our current strength, there is really no way to attack them secretly, but we can form a cavalry when they go to the battlefield, rush in from the rear, and snatch their people away. Chen Lian set his sights on the cavalry. What he was talking about was the Mongolian cavalry in Lu Feng's hands. Although there were only a few 5,000 people, their power should not be underestimated. Each one of them was the best among the best. It would be great if they could be used as a surprise attack on the battlefield to break into the enemy camp and then take away one of the three most important princes. On the battlefield, the three princes will definitely be in the center of the camp. No matter who you want to take away, you must break through the entire camp. It is simply impossible for you to completely collapse the 400,000 strong army. This time, Wu Liang can't agree with his good brother. There is no way to get past the center of the 400,000 strong army, unless the 400,000 people can be completely collapsed, but the current strength of the Song army can only fight 200,000 elite soldiers cannot defeat 400,000. It is better to follow Lu Feng's orders and engage in guerrilla warfare to attrition. As the battle lasts longer, more and more people will be consumed, and the opponent will be tired of fighting. It is not impossible to win in the end. Instead of worrying about this here, you should let me take the lead in leading the cavalry to rob their supplies. Guan Yu didn't want to listen to their talk at all. He might as well lead the troops himself and cut off all the opponent's supplies. With his skills, even if he led a group of relatively weaker Song soldiers behind him, he could easily surprise the enemy. To do so, it is not difficult to destroy the opponent's most important military rations. If Guan Yu takes action, you must know that he will definitely win. The brothers under your two men will be of no use, and bringing you to the battlefield will be meaningless. Lu Feng looked at Wu Liang and Chen Lian. They are two young people with strong temperament. They definitely don't want to fall behind others. They also know in their hearts how strong Guan Yu is. If Guan Yu takes action, this person will be defeated. The battle could be ended immediately. In the end, the two of them thought about it for a long time, and they couldn't figure out whether they should act secretly or head on. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 860. Lu Feng did not intend to wait for these two people to figure it out before taking action. Instead, he ordered Huang Zhong and Guan Yu to form two teams in person. As commanders, they immediately led the troops to fight guerrilla warfare. As for Chen Lian and Wu Liang, they led the remaining brothers to break through from the side. It would definitely not work against the 400,000 strong army head-on. Only by conducting harassment operations from the side can we consume the opponent to the greatest extent and ensure that our main output power will not suffer too much loss. At the same time, Lu Feng also planned to arrange for some people to set traps in the plains ahead. The Mongolian cavalry could be used as a raiding force for long-term consumption, but they must be coordinated with traps in a short time. Especially 5,000 of them. Once they fall into the middle of a military camp of hundreds of thousands of people, even the cavalry will only be beaten to death. Although Lu Feng had already planned to fight against Mongolia, he would not break up with Mongolia now. The Jin kingdom would not take action against Mongolia until it was destroyed. Heavy snow is falling in the sky, which also heralds the arrival of the 400,000 strong army. This time, the Jin kingdom can be said to have launched an all-out attack, and everyone has already arrived on the battlefield. But once he wins this time, it means that Lu Feng can lead his army to directly defeat the kingdom of Jin. The kingdom of Jin will no longer have any army that can resist. Since the general has said this, we naturally have no reason not to obey. Now we will go to the general station to summon the brothers and set off. Wu Liang and Cheng Lian scratched their heads. They really couldn't think of a better way. They could only accept the order, and then go out to lead the brothers on a raid mission, and they would appear as the biggest target in the kingdom of Jin. In front of an army of 400,000 people. Huang Zhong and Guan Yu naturally didn't say a word of nonsense. They immediately went out and led a few fast-moving people to prepare for a surprise attack. With their current strength, if they wanted to harass each other, they could at least do it every time. Kill 1,000 people. But Lu Feng also issued a death order before the two of them left. He did not want them to directly kill hundreds of thousands of people on the other side, because only by letting the main force of the other side exist can the existing ones be better trained. Soldiers of the Song dynasty. Without this order, Huang Zhong and Guan Yu would not need anyone's help. The two of them joined forces to form a mere 400,000 troops, which was no problem. Soon, the soldiers of the Song dynasty were divided into 4 troops to attack the army of the kingdom of Jin. The 400,000 strong army of the kingdom of Jin formed a single rope. Everyone walked together and did not separate their forces. The 3 princes were in the center, advancing with the army. Lu Feng's men and water attacked in the fire attack. All kinds of skills were used to implement the rolling wood, and they were all sneak attacks in secret. Even at night, they would even sneak attack dozens of times in a row, and every time they could not catch the opponent's golden soldiers, they collapsed. 40 in one night. No one in the 10,000 army can rest. They are always alerting the other party when they will attack. They are also setting traps all the time, but every trap will be broken in advance, and they have not been able to find out what is breaking in advance. As a result, the trap was useless, and they had no way to catch the people who made the surprise attack. After a whole day and night of torture, only 350,000 of the 400,000 strong army of the Jin kingdom were left. No one could have imagined that they would be killed in just one day. So many people. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 861. When the sun rose the next day, the Jin soldiers doubted their life and rubbed their blood-red eyes. They were almost in a state of semi-mental breakdown. If the guerrilla war continued, they would definitely not be able to go to the battlefield again. Reporting back to the eldest prince, our army has suffered heavy losses. If we continue to set off in this state, we will definitely not be able to defeat the opponent. We should now find ways to deal with those people's sneak attacks at night. In their temporary camp, a man in luxurious clothes was sitting on a tiger skin stool in the center. There were many people around him who looked like staff officers. They were providing advice to the man in the middle. It can be seen from their names. It is judged that this place belongs to the eldest prince, and the most noble-looking person in the middle is the eldest prince. They seem to be very tired of dealing with the actions last night, and are now discussing what to do. What they are thinking about now is to defend in advance. The other party obviously wants to bring us down. We can't let the other party succeed. You should think of a way to catch the other party. The eldest prince is very angry. Not only the soldiers under his command did not sleep, but he also did not get a good rest last night, so he is also very angry now. I thought of many ways last night and also set up traps, but I didn't trademark know who it was in the dark. He was extremely skilled and broke our traps every time, which led to the failure of our capture operation at night. One of the most talkative staff officers shook his head. He explained with great regret why he failed to arrest the other party last night. His statement was obviously unanimously agreed by others, many of whom were on the scene and commanded. The staff members all expressed that they were embarrassed because they did not know why they failed every time. I heard that there are many talented people around General Ping Chuan. Is it because those people are too strong? So you can't beat them? The eldest prince thought for a moment. He had some special information about the people around Lu Feng. He heard that there were many strong men around him, and he was not able to defeat them. No matter how strong the opponent is, they are just people in the martial arts world. Although we are not as powerful as the people in the Central Plains, we are not unable to compete. I will never believe that they have such strong people. One of the staff officers sneered at this information, because he had already known the word Jianghu, so it was no stranger to the Central Plains, but he did not believe that someone could practice so well. It is no wonder that in the original work, The Condor Heroes, there are so many Mongolian soldiers in the world of lovers, and Yang Guo can still succeed in assassinating the Great Khan by himself in the army. These foreign people simply don't understand how strong the martial arts people in the Central Plains are. What can they do with the so-called martial arts? What kind of extreme? They are still arrogant and think that they are the ones who are truly capable. How do they know that if a person is strong enough, he can easily dominate the battle, but many people are unwilling to participate, so there are so many bad things happening now. No matter what you say, if the sneak attack is still not resolved tonight, I will definitely report your defeat to Father Khan. Three Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 862. The words of the eldest prince also made other staff members very angry. They thought that they had done their duty and commanded their subordinates to respond promptly during every sneak attack, thus minimizing losses. But for the eldest prince, he seemed to be blind and couldn't see it at all. This made these staff members very chilling. The eldest prince wants to tell the Great Khan that we are at fault, so let the eldest prince do what he wants. We think we have fulfilled our due responsibilities in every sneak attack. In this case, the eldest prince still has complaints. There is nothing you can do, so I said goodbye. The staff generals all seemed very angry. They stopped talking to the eldest prince and turned around and left his camp. In comparison, the camps of the second and third princes were much calmer. The second and third princes, they are brothers from the same mother, so their camps are all in the same place, and for them, the first opponent for the throne is the eldest prince. The Fanbang people's habit of inheriting the throne is different from that of the Central Plains. The rules of the Central Plains are the eldest son inheritance system, but for Fanbang, everyone's inheritance rights are the same. So it doesn't matter the chronological order of this person's birth, as long as they can show that they are a strong person, then they can have more hope. The final choice to inherit the throne also lies with their father. Therefore, although the second and third princes are younger brothers, they never thought that they could not compete, but they knew very well that the eldest prince was born a full 14 years earlier than them. In the past 14 years, the eldest prince has already won over the people around him in the court and has become a certain force. If they want to deal with their eldest brother, it is impossible without uniting together. Every time our eldest brother encounters something, he will definitely get angry and blame all the faults on the people around him. It is also difficult for those around him. They thought he was an approachable person and followed him all the time. From their camp, they could just see the eldest prince's camp, so they knew very well that the staff generals left angrily. This played into their own hands. Only when the eldest prince became more and more unpopular, would they be more likely to inherit the throne. Hope. Second brother, please don't talk nonsense. The eldest brother is sometimes impulsive, but his military exploits are higher than those of you and me. If we can't get higher military exploits than eldest brother in this battle, then the throne must belong to eldest brother. The opinions of the third prince and the second prince are obviously different. When the second prince thinks that the eldest prince will definitely lose his support and not get the throne, the third prince pays more attention to it. For princes like them, military exploits are particularly important. If you have no military exploits, you will lose your qualification to inherit the throne. I know what you want to say, don't worry, I will keep my composure and will never act haphazardly. We should think about what to do with the sneak attack tonight. I don't believe that the other party is only here for one night. The second prince promised the third prince. When the time came, the two of them discussed with the people around them what they should do to get a lot of military exploits tonight. But how did they know that when night fell, Guan Yu, Huang Zhong and others would really they didn't attack them again? They stayed vigilant all night and found nothing.